And we're back. I am the Puerto Rican Rattlesnake, Luis J. Gomez. He is the Count. Michael Bisping, you might know him as the UFC middleweight champion. And your division gets a little shake-up. It looked like it was going to be a nice little four-man tournament to see who would, emerge as the most impressive victor and fight you for the title probably later on in 2017. And now Luke Rockhold, what was the actual injury? Do we know?
I don't know. I think he has a swollen vagina.
Okay, so his vagina has been...
I don't know.
It's been pounded out too many times, and now he can barely walk. I don't know. We should probably... Here's how unprofessional we are. Both of us probably just should have done one Google search.
No, I know what it was. It was his knee, which he's claiming was an issue at UFC 199, which is very, very convenient.
That's weird.
Even though he mentioned that and the commission checked him out and he was fine. And the last time I noticed, his head isn't connected to his knee. It was his chin that was a problem. Okay, so here's the story. So whatever. Rockhold hurts his knee. He's out of the fight. He pulls out. Fair enough. Injuries happen all the time. That's a shame. It was a good fight. I was looking forward to seeing it. As we know, we've got Weidman and Yoel next week. And I was thinking one of those guys would be my next fight. We know all about the GSP stuff, okay? That nearly happened. Didn't happen. That's dead in the water. That's done. Forget about it. Moving on. I said to Dana, what do I do? Am I looking at still fighting on that card? He said, nah. Enjoy your Christmas. Have some time off. And I thought, right, great. Because the fact of the matter is that I'm injured still. I did get a fractured orbital in that fight. I've got some PRP injections, which is where I'm not sure what that is. Things where they spin the blood or something like that. Platelet-rich plasma injections. I've got a course of that starts tomorrow because I'm still limping around a little bit. But for GSP, that would have been, several $1 million, if I'm honest. So yeah. I was going to take that fight 100%. As long as I could get cleared, I was in. Of course. Now, Dana says, the fight's not happening. Relax, take Christmas off. So psychologically, I've resigned myself to I'm not fighting again this year. I've had a busy year anyway. I've got a few, announcing things coming up. So all good. Then I think, a few days ago, Dana calls me. I look at the phone, Dana White. I answer laughing, going, oh, go on then. I'm very, very intrigued as to what this phone call is going to be. And he says, well, it's a lot different to the last conversation we had. And I think, right, okay, what is this? Anyway, he gets straight to the point. He says, look, listen, Rockhold's hurt, yada, yada, yada. Do you want to take the fight? So I said, well, listen, instantly, right off the get-go, I don't think so. But let me speak to my coach, let me speak to my manager, and I'll get back to you. So we talk about it, and I called Dana back. I said, look, listen, it's not that I'm saying no to the fight. The fight isn't the no. It's the fact that I'm still pretty much banged up. I was going to take that fight against GSP because of the money involved. Jacare, as good of a fighter he isn't a big pay-per-view draw. He doesn't even speak English. Not that that reflects his ability to fight, but it does affect his ability to draw a crowd in. So I said, listen, I'm not saying no to the fight, but I can't take it on short notice.
Yeah.
Dana says, look, listen, you did pretty well on short notice last time. I said, yeah, I know. But Short Camp Sally is not my nickname, and I said I'll take the fight.
And of course, to be honest with you, short notice before was for a huge opportunity to fight for the middleweight title, which you had been vying for 10 years fighting in the UFC. Now you have something to lose, and you're currently injured. No, I get that completely.
Now, I understand everybody online because I know a lot of people say, no, I thought you wanted to fight. But now you've been offered a fight with Jacare and you're saying no. And it's like, I'm not saying no, actually. I'm saying, we'll do the fight. Bearing in mind, next week, we've still got Yoel and Chris. So let that fight happen. That fight is happening next week. Let that happen. And then we'll sit down with the UFC and see, which one of those guys makes sense. And then we'll set a date, probably sometime early spring.
Yeah.
I can heal up. I can have Christmas and I'll still take the fight, but I'm just not doing it on short notice.
Yeah. And to be honest, here's the thing, man. And look, the MMA fans, very fair weather. And it's like, you're a guy for your whole career who has never turned down a fight. You're a guy who's always fought the toughest opponents and always, you've been in main eventing cards for as long as I can remember. At this point, to go in there and for no other reason except to give 206 a kind of lackluster main event. No offense to Jacare, he's just not turning any heads right now. You know,
absolutely.
It's a guy that nobody's gonna be super excited about. So he goes like, you're just doing it for the sake of getting, a fraction of a payday that you can get on a fight that's promoted the right way against somebody who you can maybe talk some shit with and have some fun with. I completely get it. And not for nothing, Jacare, his most recent win was Vitor, which was in May, and that's fallen from grace Vitor. It's not the same Vitor from a few years ago. He lost to Yoel right before that. And then, to be honest, he doesn't really have like these big, crazy marquee wins where you would go, oh, he's, championship material.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, the guy has had some good wins. He did submit Mousasi. He beat Vitor, as you said. He's looked good. He did lose to Yoel, but that was a close fight. But
I think a lot of people thought he won that fight as well.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was robbed. I mean, it was close. It was very, very close either way. But another thing is, the guy has been training. He's supposed to fight in a couple of weeks. So he's ahead of the game. It was only a few weeks since I fought, but in those few weeks, I haven't really trained. I've just been trying to get healed up again. I mean, I just want to reiterate, for George St. Pierre, I was looking at $3-4 million. That's why I do that. I'm going to drop. I won't even get a quarter of that against Jacare. So it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense, and it's a shame. But at the end of the day, just because Luke Rockhold got injured, that's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to say, right, okay, I'm going to go straight into camp injured and fight. I know I was calling people out saying I want to fight on 206, but I wanted a big name. I wanted big money. If it's going to be one of those guys, I need a camp. Simple as that.
All right, we're taking your calls here. 844-SXM-RUSH, 844-796-7874. Let's go to Marco in Waco. You're on the countdown with the count.
Marco from Waco, ¿Qué pasa, Luis, and the champ, Michael Bisping?
¿Qué pasa?
What's up, Marco? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. But first and foremost, Harry, the little dog, is just a chew toy for Tito, man. So say that dog live. Say that dog live.
No, I know. Marco, please.
Yeah, I got a lab.
Okay.
So I got a black Labrador, so whatever. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because I'm a fan. So this is how the fans are seeing it. You are not ready to say, George St. Pierre, be a hero, let's say this card. Then the name of Nick Diaz was floated around too, for the same car. Understand? Big names. Now, we end up loving you this year because you overcame a lot. You fought Anderson Silva. You fought Luke Rockhold. You did what you needed to do to become the champion. You fought Dan Henderson, probably fighter of the year. Now, at the Thailand UFC 206 is the fight that, you try to save. I understand. You want the big paycheck. I agree with you. You need to have the big paycheck. Jacare, that is one of the true number one contenders, become available, and we the fans say, oh, Michael, you're going to say this car, you're going to fight Jacare and have probably the most epic year ever, but then you don't take the fight. I'm not saying that you're not going to take it later, but take it when you say you were available. Now.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. One more thing. You also disclosed that you got an orbital, broken and a leg. Even if that's true, why even go through this whole exercise if you may not even be clear for UFC 206? You see how you box yourself into this whole thing?
No. See, because the thing is, Marco, GSP, what's he going to do? He's going to jab me and try and take me down. Jacare does have a big monster right hand, so I'm going to let that orbital heal correctly. I'd have taken that chance. And risked in a few months' time. That ain't going though. I'm contracted to my fights. Those fights will be there regardless of when I take them now or whether I take them in 3 months' time. Those paydays will still be there. They are contracted and I will get them. The GSP thing, that was something completely out of the blue that Dana texted me for and got me all excited about, which is, probably 4 paydays in one. Of course.
Yeah, and also not for nothing, probably,
and let's be honest, an easier fight.
Yes, I was going to say that. I was going to say probably an easier fight.
With four times as much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, listen, I want to face these top guys, I really do, but it's just not smart to take them on a short camp. I would do George St. Pierre on a short camp because the risk versus the reward.
Yeah.
The risk is worth it because of the reward. The risk reward on Jacare is that, okay, well, that's a tough fight and a fight and an opponent that I'm going to respect. and give the proper camp. Like Dan Henderson had a full camp. I just fought Luke Rockhold on short notice, but as Lewis said, that was because I didn't have the belt. I wanted to get the belt. Now I've got the belt. I've got to be smart. I've got to be world champion now.
Which, by the way, you also said last week on the show, Mike, you said, I'll fight, anybody if it's a big name with a big payday attached to it.
He's not. Unfortunately, he's not. He's just not. He's not. So for a regular fight,
Mike, let me ask you this:
that I can have any time. Go ahead.
Is there a price that the UFC can come to you with right now and say, "Hey, here's X amount of dollars"?
No. Well, now there's not, because bear in mind, this GSP talk was several weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, too much time has passed. I said that to Dana on the phone. I said, dude, you should have, obviously there's a lot of moving pieces that no one's responsible for. Luke just pulled out. I said, but if I'd have known this a few weeks ago, then maybe. But not now. It's too close. I'd only be able to train for 3 weeks, something like that, 3-4 weeks tops. And then it's fight time, so it just, the pieces of the jigsaw aren't fitting him. I'll fight Jacare. If they want to make that fight right now, I'll fight him just after the new year. Give me 8 weeks, give me a few weeks to heal up and a camp, and I'll go. I'm not ducking
So you're
anybody.
saying that right now? If they want to set up Jacare for the new year, you don't even need to fight somebody else. You don't need him to win. You'll just do that fight?
If that's what they said, then I'd do it. But me personally, I want Chris Weidman. That's the guy I want. Because we have a little bit of beef. We go back and forth. He was the champion for a long time. He defended it successfully several times. He speaks English, and we don't get along. I think that's a bigger fight. And actually, personally, that's a guy that I want to fight. Right. And I would love to do that. He fights, November 10th, 12th, whatever it is. So maybe end of January. Something like that.
We don't even know if Jacare is an interesting guy. I don't know what he's saying.
No, Jacare is not an interesting guy. He's an interesting fight. Of course he is. Jacare is a very interesting fight, but the one I want is Weidman. Failing Weidman, I'll fight Jacare. Give me a camp. What's wrong with wanting a camp? Everybody gets a camp.
Marco, you're still here. Usually I hang up on people right after their comment, but I wanted a response to this because this is good.
See, that explanation puts things a little bit on better perspective. But I got a tangent with you with respect to GSP. I mean, you're selling GSP short, probably the best welterweight ever. And remember what he did to Josh Kutcher with just a jab. And you having a broken orbital going into the fight, that would not be a good look, Michael. So you have to take that into consideration. We'll let you guys
for sure,
next time.
Thanks you very much, Marco.
I appreciate the call.
Yeah, look.
And by the way, I welcome the challenging questions. I do, and I understand that this is what people are thinking and saying.
Yeah.
I guess, GSP, I was willing to take that chance. You listen, I'm a prize fighter. We take chances. You know what I mean? I'm gambling with my health every time I go in there because the money's there. You put a $4 million price tag on it, I'll say, yeah, okay, fuck it. I'll go for it. You say, give me a regular payday that I'm scheduled for anyway. Well, I'm not going to take that chance.
Yeah.
You give me 4, 7, 4, 21, 28, 35. You give me 5 times what I'm due to get paid regularly. I'll take the chance because GSP brings that, because as the champion, you get a piece of the pie. It's only a small piece, but it's a piece of the pie, and it adds up to a lot of buys. If the buys are big, GSP probably would have done around about 1 million pay-per-view.
Oh, easily. His comeback for the middleweight title.
Yeah,
easily. And you put it best right. You nailed it. You said
Jacare would just be middle ground. So I'm not ducking Jacare. I'll fight Jacare. I'm saying it right now. I'll say just after the new year. Let me get Christmas out the way with my kids, and let's go. Him or Weidman or Yoel, whichever one of those 3.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, you said it best. Risk versus reward. If there's for $5 million, I would do just about anything. So I think most people can wrap their mind around that. It's like, I'll risk going in there injured, and I'll risk my title for that big of a deal. And it's not disrespect to GSP, because I'm one of the biggest GSP fans in the world. He's unbelievable. When people were shitting on GSP saying you were looking for an easy fight, it's not looking for an easy fight. He is one of the toughest people in the world, and arguably the best fighter ever. But
absolutely,
it's definitely an easier fight than Jacare. GSP after 2 years coming up from welterweight. Yeah,
well, for one, I wasn't disrespecting GSP. But Jacare is basically GSP with heavier hands, 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
So that's what Jacare is. So he's a tougher version of GSP. And in terms of disrespecting GSP, I did a podcast that my friend does in England. I did a little, half-hour segment on there this morning, just chatting away and having a catch-up. And they were asking me to, make fun of GSP and this and that. And I just flat out refused. They wanted me to, mimic his accent and talk a bit of shit. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I said, George was a class act throughout this whole negotiation thing. I said, I owe him more respect than impersonating him and making fun of him. I said, because the guy, it's a business decision, just like me with this Jacare thing, and just like me and GSP, whatever. He made a business decision. It wasn't right for him. He wasn't being a pussy. He wasn't trying to duck out of a fight. He just wasn't getting what he felt that he was worth. So no disrespect to GSP.
I hope he goes on that same podcast and makes fun of your accent. I mean, that would make me so happy if there's like a half an hour segment of just shitting on your accent. Oh man,
yeah.
Turns into a complete dick. All right, let's take a break.